He's an accurate thrower, doesn't have a huge arm, moves okay, and when he's got to make big throws in the red zone, he's pretty damn good at it. That's my take. Yours.
My thing is, he says no reasonable person thinks Sanders will be fully ready to lead a team and consistently attack a complicated NFL defense 3 weeks from now. What about Dylan Gabriel? Has he shown you enough?
And there's many people that think Dylan Gabriel's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't care where they were drafted. And if the Browns are the one team that thinks that, then I'm going to suspect it's not true. They don't know what they're doing.
They've been on every quarterback evaluation for 30 years.
Right.
I never root against anybody.
Yeah.
But I'd be surprised if Dylan Gabriel's ever a legitimate starting quarterback for the Cleveland.
Yeah, I think so.
So in a live game, you saw him play the way he played and still question if he can do the same thing when he has the actual starters at his disposal. We saw it show up. The fact that he's not getting first team reps with the ones or the twos and still went out there and looked the way.
Cleveland might be sitting on a gold mine and refusing to dig. For weeks, Shedeur Sanders has been making the most out of every snap he's given sometimes, with players who won't even make the roster and still managing to shine. Precision passes, calm in the pocket, red zone execution that makes defenders look lost. And yet, the Browns coaching staff seems more interested in debating whether he's ready than actually giving him the chance to prove it. Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel, who's had every opportunity to take the job, can't seem to string together consistent performances. So, why does the organization keep pushing him forward while holding Shedeur back? Some say it's strategy, others think there's something deeper going on. Whatever the reason, this is a quarterback battle that's getting harder to explain and impossible to ignore. When you strip away the noise, the stats, and the politics, football is still about one thing making plays when it matters. And that's exactly what Shedeur Sanders has been doing in Browns camp. The crazy part? He's not even working with the full arsenal of Cleveland's top weapons. No Amari Cooper. No starting offensive line. No chemistry reps with the first-team unit. Instead, he's been running drills and scrimmages with players fighting for a roster spot, yet he's making it look effortless. In live game situations, the difference jumps out immediately. Shedeur's footwork is crisp, his reads are quick, and his ball placement is surgical. You watch him in the red zone, and it's almost like he slows time down, calmly scanning, finding the window, and delivering strikes in traffic. That's not something you can teach. It's the composure of someone who's been here before, and the truth is he has. From his days at Jackson State to his rise at Colorado, Shedeur has been thriving under pressure for years. It's not just the throws, it's the decision-making. Too many young quarterbacks panic under pressure, forcing bad throws or bailing on the pocket too soon. Shedeur? He's comfortable standing tall, taking the hit, and still delivering on target. That level of poise is rare for a rookie, and it's one of the biggest reasons analysts are scratching their heads at how he's still buried in the depth chart. Even when the defense sends exotic blitz packages, he's adjusting protections and making pre-snap reads that you'd expect from a seasoned vet. It's a subtle skill, but it's one that separates talented quarterbacks from true leaders. You can't just have the arm, you have to have the mind, and Shedeur is showing he's got both. What's even more telling is how the players around him respond. Wide receivers who barely saw targets before suddenly look dangerous with him under center. Backup tight ends are making contested grabs. Third-string running backs are catching swing passes and turning upfield for big gains. It's like he elevates everyone around him, which is exactly what you want from a franchise quarterback. But here's the catch. These flashes of brilliance are coming without the luxury of building rhythm with the Browns' actual starters. Imagine what that same accuracy, vision, and leadership would look like with the team's top receivers, a clean pocket, and a game plan designed specifically for his strengths. The ceiling is sky high, and yet for some reason, Cleveland seems content to leave that potential untapped. Every throw, every drive, every series he gets is another reminder Shedeur Sanders doesn't just belong on an NFL field, he belongs in the conversation for the starting job. And the more he keeps delivering in these limited opportunities, the harder it's going to be for the Browns to justify keeping him on the sidelines. But as impressive as these moments have been, they're only part of the story. Because what's happening behind the scenes might explain why, despite all this, Shedeur still can't get a real shot at the job. If there's one thing every quarterback will tell you, it's that rhythm matters. The more snaps you get with the same group, the better your timing, chemistry, and trust become. That's why most rookie quarterbacks struggle. They're learning a new playbook, adjusting to NFL speed, and trying to build connections all at once. But here's the twist with Shedeur Sanders. He's doing all of that without getting the real reps that most QBs rely on. Instead of splitting time with the starters, Shedeur's been working primarily with the third and fourth team units. These are guys who may not even make the final roster, yet he's still producing highlight moments. That's not normal. That's not luck. That's a sign of a quarterback who can adapt to whatever's in front of him. Think about it. He's throwing to receivers who have only a fraction of the skill, speed, and polish of the Browns' top targets. His protection is coming from backup linemen who are still fighting for their own jobs, which means the pocket collapses faster and the pressure comes harder. And yet, somehow, he's still accurate, still poised, and still moving the offense downfield. Most young quarterbacks in that situation would have erratic numbers, missed reads, bad throws, wasted drives. Shedeur's doing the opposite. He's making tight window throws that leave defenders shaking their heads. He's improvising when plays break down, keeping his eyes downfield instead of bailing out too early. He's turning broken protection into big gains, and that's something you can't measure in a stat sheet. What makes it even more baffling is the contrast when you look at Dillon Gabriel's situation. Gabriel has had far more opportunities with stronger supporting casts. He's had the starters, he's had the cleaner pockets, he's had the better matchups in camp. And still his numbers have been shaky, his accuracy inconsistent, and his decision-making questionable. Meanwhile, Shedeur's been thriving in the harder role, proving that he can do more with less. You have to ask yourself, if Shedeur's doing this with the backups, what could he do if the Browns actually invested in him and gave him consistent time with the first unit? How much more dangerous would his deep ball be with Amari Cooper's route running? How much easier would his reads be behind an experienced offensive line? How much more explosive would the Browns' offense look if they stopped holding him back? These are questions the fans are asking. These are questions the analysts are asking. And right now, the Browns coaching staff either doesn't have an answer or doesn't want to give it. Because here's the reality. Shedeur has already shown he can handle the pressure. He's already shown he can elevate the players around him. The only thing left for him to prove is what he can do when the organization finally decides to take the handcuffs off. And that's where the controversy heats up, because the numbers coming from Dillon Gabriel's side of camp make this whole quarterback competition harder to defend. If the Browns' quarterback competition was truly about performance, Dillon Gabriel wouldn't still be in this conversation. The numbers aren't just mediocre, they're alarming. And unlike Shedeur Sanders, Gabriel's had every advantage in camp. He's worked behind the starting offensive line. He's thrown to the team's top targets. He's been given clean pockets and favorable matchups. Yet the results have been anything but convincing. Take one of the most telling practice sessions. 11 completions on 22 attempts. That's a 50% completion rate in a non-contact setting, with no real game day pressure and no Shedeur on the field to overshadow him. Those are the kinds of reps you're supposed to dominate, the ones that build confidence heading into preseason. But Gabriel didn't dominate. He blended into the background, putting up numbers that could easily get a quarterback benched in an actual NFL game. And it's not like that was a rare off day. In fact, it might not even crack the list of his worst performances. Just ask anyone who was there for day 8 of camp, a day that might go down as the low point of his summer. Out of 14 reps, Gabriel connected on only 3 passes. 3. Even worse, 11 of those throws weren't just incomplete, they were wildly off the mark. We're talking overthrows, balls skipping at receivers' feet, and passes that sailed directly into coverage. This wasn't a case of bad luck or receivers dropping catchable passes. This was a quarterback completely out of sync, unable to adjust to the defense, reading him like a book. The moment the pocket collapsed, the rhythm disappeared, the accuracy vanished. The decision-making slowed to a crawl, and when that happens in the NFL, defenses feast. Contrast that with Shedeur, who's been playing behind weaker protection and with less talented receivers, yet still finding ways to move the chains. Gabriel's struggles aren't just about the stats, they're about the pattern. Every quarterback has off days, but when off becomes the norm, it's not an anomaly, it's an identity. What's even harder to explain is why the Browns' coaching staff continues to push Gabriel as a viable starting option when the gap in consistency is so obvious. Maybe they believe he's more familiar with the system. Maybe they think he has a higher ceiling down the line. Or maybe, just maybe, this quarterback battle was never meant to be fair in the first place. The problem is, the more camp goes on, the more that theory starts to feel less like speculation and more like reality. And as Gabriel continues to struggle, the calls for Shedeur to get his shot grow louder from both fans and analysts alike. But here's where the story takes a turn, because some of the most respected voices in football have started openly questioning whether this whole situation is being driven by something deeper than just football. When a quarterback battle gets this lopsided on paper, it's only a matter of time before the big voices in sports start weighing in. And lately, those voices have been anything but quiet. Shannon Sharpe, never one to hold back, has been one of the loudest critics of the Browns' handling of this situation. His take? This isn't about talent, it's about bias. Sharpe flat-out questioned head coach Kevin Stefanski's logic. If you're doubting Shedeur Sanders against Kenny Pickett, he said, how can you be so sure Dillon Gabriel will perform better? It was the kind of question that didn't need an answer, because the numbers already spoke for themselves. But Sharpe didn't stop there. He went further, accusing Stefanski of pushing an agenda that had nothing to do with what was happening on the field. Then came Ooh, who attacked the situation from another angle. He pointed to the live game evidence, reminding everyone that Shedeur has already shown he can operate at a high level even without starting caliber teammates around him. You've seen what he can do in real games, Ooh said, and yet you're still doubting what he could do if given the starters. His voice carried the same mix of disbelief and frustration that fans have been echoing online for weeks. Both analysts zeroed in on a key point. Everything the Browns claim Shedeur can't do are things he's already done at Jackson State, at Colorado, and now in his early NFL reps. Whether it's delivering under pressure, making tight window throws, or reading complex defenses, he's proven he's capable. The only thing missing is the opportunity. What's more, neither Sharpe nor Ooh bought the idea that Gabriel has earned the benefit of the doubt. If anything, they argued, his camp performances should have made this an easy decision. And yet, the Browns keep leaning in his direction, as though the evidence in front of them doesn't matter. For Sharpe, that raised alarms about possible pressure from higher up in the organization. He hinted that Stefanski's decisions might not be entirely his own, that someone above him could be influencing who gets the nod. For Ooh, it was simpler. This was a coach refusing to see what's right in front of him. The outrage didn't just come from the talking heads on TV. Social media has been swarming with clips of Shedeur's best throws, paired side by side with Gabriel's worst misses. Fans are demanding answers, and the more they see, the more convinced they become that this battle isn't being decided on merit. And that's the part that has everyone's attention, because when football decisions start to feel like something else, speculation about hidden motives isn't far behind. And in this case, the rumors are already starting to swirl. Whenever a quarterback controversy drags on despite clear differences in performance, people start asking the uncomfortable questions. And with the Browns' handling of Shedeur Sanders, those questions are getting louder. Now, let's be clear, there's no hard proof of anything beyond football, but the speculation is out there, and it's not coming from just one or two voices. Reports suggest that some within the organization may not see Shedeur as their guy, and that bias, whether personal, systemic, or even tied to how he's perceived off the field, could be part of the equation. Some fans have gone further, pointing to a pattern they believe shows that certain quarterbacks get more patience, more excuses, and more opportunities than others. On social media, this theory has gained momentum, with many highlighting how Shedeur has had to earn every rep, while Dillon Gabriel has been handed opportunities despite shaky performances. Shannon Sharpe has hinted at this idea without outright saying it. He's suggested that there could be pressure from higher up influencing Kevin Stefanski's decisions. That's a carefully chosen phrase, one that leaves room for interpretation, but also sends a clear message. Something might be happening behind the scenes that we don't know about. Ooh echoed a similar sentiment, questioning why a coach would focus so much on what Shedeur can't do, instead of acknowledging what he's already proven he can do. To him, that disconnect felt bigger than just X's and O's, it felt personal. Of course, Stefanski has denied any bias, sticking to the line that the team is evaluating all options and looking for the best fit at quarterback. But when pressed for specifics on what Gabriel is doing better than Shedeur, the answers have been vague general talk about system familiarity and room for growth. That's hardly the kind of concrete evidence you'd expect when making such a crucial decision. Fans have picked up on that vagueness. In their eyes, if the gap in performance was truly in Gabriel's favor, the coaching staff would be quick to point to it. Instead, they keep hearing about Shedeur's supposed limitations, even as he proves, time and again, that those limitations aren't holding him back. The result? A growing belief that the decision-making process isn't entirely about merit, Whether it's personal preference, organizational politics, or deeper cultural issues, the perception is that Shedeur is being held to a different standard than his competition. And here's the dangerous part for Cleveland. Once that perception sets in, it's almost impossible to shake. Every missed throw from Gabriel, every sharp pass from Shedeur, every questionable coaching decision will be seen through that lens. And unless something changes soon, the Browns may find themselves facing a narrative they can't control. But before we talk about how this could impact the season, we need to hear from the man at the center of it all, because when Kevin Stefanski finally addressed the controversy, what he said and what he didn't say only added fuel to the fire. When Kevin Stefanski finally stepped up to address the growing quarterback controversy, it was the perfect opportunity to clear the air. Fans wanted clarity, analysts wanted specifics. All Stefanski had to do was give a direct, confident answer about where things stood. Instead, what they got was a carefully packaged set of comments that seemed to say, well, not much at all. He opened with a generic assessment. I thought the guys did a really nice job. Shedeur was operating, the guys were making plays. There's a ton to teach off of. On paper, it sounded positive. But here's what stood out. There was no pointed praise for Shedeur himself, no acknowledgement of the precision throws, no mention of his ability to keep drives alive under pressure. It was all lumped together as a vague, the guys kind of performance. When asked directly about why Shedeur still wasn't getting more first-team reps, Stefanski dodged. He spoke about evaluating all options and seeing where everyone fits best in the system. No timeline, no criteria, no concrete reason why Gabriel's struggles didn't open the door wider for Shedeur. For many watching, it felt like the coach was tiptoeing around the subject. Shannon Sharpe was quick to call it out, saying, "You just saw him do the very things you claim he can't, so what's the excuse now?" Ooh piled on, pointing out that the coach seemed more focused on what needed to improve than on giving credit where it was due. That's what frustrated people most. This wasn't a situation where Shedeur was making obvious rookie mistakes or failing to adapt. In fact, he was excelling in tougher conditions than Gabriel. Yet the conversation from the podium always seemed to circle back to his room to grow, as if his strengths were an afterthought. It's worth noting that coaches often keep their cards close to the vest in training camp. They don't want to tip their hand to opponents or create locker room drama. But in this case, the lack of direct answers didn't calm the speculation, it intensified it. Every vague response fed into the theory that there was something more than football influencing these decisions. The optics didn't help either. On the same day Stefanski spoke, Gabriel once again delivered a flat practice performance, missing open targets and looking hesitant in the pocket. Meanwhile, Shedeur continued to show confidence, stepping into throws and rallying his unit for scoring drives. If the Browns were hoping that Stefanski's comments would slow the conversation, they miscalculated. Instead, they gave analysts and fans fresh material to dissect, question, and debate. And that debate is only getting louder because if Shedeur's past tells us anything, it's that he's been proving people wrong for years. Which brings us to the next chapter of this story, how his college career shaped the quarterback we're seeing now, and why ignoring that history might be Cleveland's biggest mistake yet. To understand why so many analysts are baffled by Cleveland's hesitation, you have to look at Shedeur Sanders' journey before the NFL. This isn't a quarterback who suddenly appeared on the scene. He's been building a reputation for poise, precision, and leadership for years. From Jackson State to Colorado, Shedeur consistently showed he could rise to the occasion, no matter the pressure or the opponent. At Jackson State, he didn't just put up numbers, he changed games. He had the ability to read defenses before the snap, make adjustments on the fly, and deliver throws that left defenders scrambling. His decision-making under pressure was already at a professional level, earning him attention from scouts who knew he had more than just raw talent, he had football intelligence. Every series was a lesson in composure, accuracy, and timing. When he transferred to Colorado, the story didn't change, it got sharper. Facing stronger defenses, faster pass rushes, and more complex schemes, Shedeur didn't falter. He adapted, improved, and continued to make plays that demonstrated both skill and mental toughness. Observers noticed how effortlessly he commanded the offense, even when the pressure was highest. What's remarkable is that the same traits he displayed in college are showing up in his NFL reps, even under less than ideal conditions. He's doing this without the full support of starters, without the comfort of a system designed around him, and yet he's still finding ways to make the difficult look routine. The lessons from his college days, reading the defense, staying calm under pressure, delivering in tight windows, haven't just stayed in the past. They're playing out right before fans' eyes in Cleveland. That consistency is what makes this controversy so confusing. You're not betting on potential, you're watching proven ability. Every throw, every completed drive, every successful red zone play is another piece of evidence that Shedeur can lead a team. And when you stack that against Gabriel's inconsistent camp performance, the contrast is glaring. Analysts keep returning to the same point. History matters. You can't overlook years of demonstrated talent, particularly when the player continues to show flashes of brilliance in the present. Shedeur isn't a question mark, he's a track record, a pattern of rising to challenges that should command respect and opportunity. Yet despite all this, the Browns are still hesitant. Whether it's cautious strategy, internal politics, or unseen biases, the hesitation is forcing fans, analysts, and even Shedeur himself to ask the same question over and over. If not now, when? If a player has proven time and again that he can perform at high levels, what more does he need to do to earn a legitimate shot at leading the team? This is where the stakes become clear. Ignoring a quarterback with Shedeur's history isn't just a coaching decision, it's a potential missed opportunity for the entire franchise. And as the NFL season approaches, that question looms larger than ever. Will Cleveland finally give him the chance he has earned, or will they stick with a plan that history and performance suggests is flawed? The story of Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland is more than just a quarterback competition. It's a test of judgment, vision, and the willingness to reward proven talent. On one hand, you have Shedeur, poised, precise, and battle-tested, showing time and again that he can elevate everyone around him. On the other, Dillon Gabriel, given the spotlight and opportunity, but struggling with consistency and accuracy under pressure. The numbers, the reps, and the expert opinions all point in one direction. Shedeur has earned a shot to lead this team, yet he remains on the sidelines, with excuses cited about readiness or growth. Analysts like Shannon, Sharp, and Ooh aren't just seeing stats, they're seeing a pattern, a player being held back despite clear ability, while the team pushes someone less consistent into the conversation. Fans and observers alike are left asking the same question. Why? Is it strategy, organizational pressure, bias, or a mix of everything? Whatever the answer, it's impossible to ignore the mounting evidence that Shedeur Sanders deserves a legitimate chance to prove himself on the NFL stage. As the season looms closer, the stakes couldn't be higher. The Browns have the talent in front of them, yet the decision-making around who will lead the offense is stirring debate far beyond the locker room. Every throw, every play, every game could redefine the trajectory of this franchise. And if Shedeur finally gets his opportunity, it won't just be a test of skill, it will be a statement. So, here's the question left for you. If you were in charge, would you give Shedeur Sanders the chance he's earned? Or would you stick with the current plan and hope it works out? Because the answer could decide not just a quarterback battle, but the future of the Browns season.